I found it particularly interesting early in the chapter the account of very early attacks on the status of Mary from non-Christians and from heretics. Can you give us a taste of that material?
Well, but there's been a lot of research done in this area lately by not only Christian scholars but also Jewish scholars. You kind of get a sense a couple of times in the Gospels, that both our Lord and Our Lady took some taunting during the course of his earthly ministry because of the circumstances of his conception and birth. It does sound kind of unbelievable to someone who doesn't have faith. Well, what we find out from the documents of early Judaism, and also from some of the pagan documents from the same period, is that this was a point of attack upon Christians. That both the Jews and the pagans saw the conception of Jesus and his bodily resurrection as weak points. And so they went after those apologetically when they were attacking Christianity, questioning his origins, questioning his end. And there was even back and forth, we find, between the pagans and the Jews. One of the earliest extended arguments against Christianity is by a man named Celsus or Celsus, and he wrote a book on the true, what he titled it on the true doctrine, okay, which was the standard paganism of his day, the philosophy of the day, and
Like Neoplatonism?
well, he's writing it from the perspective of Greco-Roman religion and the fundamental principles of it, and he's defending that against Christianity, and Christianity's peculiar claims that the infinite entered the finite, for example, that God became man, and not only did he become man, but he became man in this backwater, the middle of nowhere, and he was born to a woman who wasn't of the leisured class, but spun cloth. And there are these fantastic claims about his conception and birth, and with some winks and nudges at that point, because both Celsus and the early rabbis of the Talmud made charges against the honor of Our Lady, saying that she had been an adulterer, a fornicator, and these get pretty explicit. So yes, that was something that the early Christians had to defend against from the very beginning. So not only do we detect hints of it in the Gospels, but immediately afterwards, in around 70 A.D., we have a book written in Egypt called The Ascension of Isaiah. And that book contains an account of our Lord's conception and birth, and it seems that the purpose of this account is to defend Our Lady's virginity. We find it coming up again in the letters of Ignatius of Antioch, who defends Our Lady's virginity, and then we find it in the Gospel of Mary, which appeared in the early years of the 2nd century. So obviously, this is something that's very much on the minds of the early Christians. It's something that they feel the need to defend, and they're defending it against everyone, because again, this seemed to be a point of weakness. If you don't have faith, these things do seem absurd.
So that point about these attacks being in the Talmud, that's not just like an anti-Semitic
No.
Smear or something like that.
No.
Yeah, it's interesting.
No, I mean, the book that's authoritative on the subject is called Jesus in the Talmud, and it's by Peter Schaeffer, who was the executive director of the Jewish Museum in Berlin for many years, and he was the founder and director. I think he was the founder. In any event, he was the director of the Judaic Studies program at Princeton University. So we're not talking about fringe sources here. We're talking about very much the academic mainstream acknowledges this as a fact.
That's good. Yeah, sometimes I hear things from certain types online, and I'm not sure how much to credit.
No, Our Lady and our Lord were Jews, and I love the Jewish people for that reason, and every Christian is supposed to.